Hi guys, so what we're going to do in this tutorial is do what's called a little aura effect. So you're going to start out with a portrait image. The ones that work the best for this are ones that have a plain background and some good lighting. So this one was taken by Sierra of Rontavious. It's a very beautiful portrait. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play around with adding gradients over the top using a blur filter. And then I'm also going to show you how to add a picture of an aura style like texture that you can put on top of it. So I'm going to show you two different ways that you can create these kind of colored filters over an image. So here's another one. So I've kind of gone from, it's still dramatic, but more dramatic to very dramatic. So you can utilize this as much as you want. So it can be subtle, or it can be pretty intense. So you're going to start by having your image open, and you're going to go to your layers and you're going to drag it to the plus to make a background copy. I'm going to right click and I'm going to convert it to a smart object so I can add the filter and be able to easily go back and mess with it. So I'm going to go up to filter, I'm going to go to distort, and I'm going to go to blur gallery. I'm going to go to path blur, and you're going to get this little line. So what I'm going to do is, when it's an arrow, I'm going to pull it, and I'm going to pull it, and I'm just going to make a little arch. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to make that speed really high. I'm going to turn off the centered blur, and I'm going to mess with the taper. And you can go back and mess with this if you end up not liking the effect. And then I'm going to make this, I'm going to move my arch. I'm going to kind of make it, because this is like, I've done so many of these. I'll kind of go like this. Alright, so once you get it where you want, you're going to hit OK. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to mess with the blend mode. So with the blend mode, it's right here where it says normal. The blend mode is how this layer interacts with all the ones below. So there's a bunch of options. We're going to go to lighten. And what will happen is in some areas you'll see a little bit of that blur. Anything that's in this one kind of will show it. So if you like the lighter color, you could use that one, you could use that one. But you want to be able to see that blur that we did. So if you do this and it doesn't look quite the way you want, you can go back and double click on the blur gallery. And then you can mess with it. So however you want. So it really depends on your picture. The only one I've really edited is this one. So I'm just going to kind of, now I'm making it like an S-curve, which isn't really what I wanted, but that's okay. So I'm going to do OK. And then as it's thinking, you can also, if you like it but you think it's a little too much, you can reduce the opacity. So I can like soften it that way as well. And then you can also play around with the fill. So again, some ways if you like it but you want to soften it up, you can do that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the gradients over the top. So we're going to show you how to do a linear and a radial. So you can do one, both, two linears. You can do as many as you want. So you're going to go to your toolbar. You're going to hit the gradient tool. If yours, it might be on the paint bucket, so just hit the paint bucket and this will show up. So you're going to hit gradient tool, you're going to go up to the top, you're going to make sure, you're going to click here, and it's going to have a folder that says basics. Make sure you click on this one. So this is where it'll have a transparent layer. That's what the checkerboard means. And then the first one we're going to do is right here, so make sure linear gradient is checked. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line, and you're probably like, I don't see anything. You're right. I'm going to double click this circle right here, and I'm going to pick a color. So now this circle and this circle are colors. So I can like click this and make two colors if I wanted. And I'm just going to pick that color. I keep doing the same colors. And then before you mess with this, hit OK. And then you can pull and you can see it like makes the gradient transition slower and smoother or really, really sharp. So it's kind of up to you, and you got to think about where you want it. So I want it really faded, and then when the arrow's black, I can kind of move it. So play around with it. So I'm going to kind of do like this up here, like that. And then once you kind of get it where you want, you're going to go back to your move tool. And I'm still on this layer, and I'm going to play around with the layer masks again. So all of this kind of is just going to depend on your picture, what color it is, what color you picked. So it might look different than mine. If it doesn't show up, you might want to go back and change the color. But I'm going to do... Ooh, I like that lighter color. These in the middle, the light and screen, color dodge, these are the ones that usually work the best. So I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to pick lighter color. And if I want to change it, make sure this layer is highlighted, and you can just click here and you can be like, I like it, but I want to move it back. So I'm just going to move it back a little bit. And then again, you can mess with your opacity. You can mess with your fill to kind of get it how you want. So now I'm going to add another one. So this is very important. I have messed this up a bunch. So I'm going to go back to the gradient. I'm going to go up here. It's still on the transparency one. I'm going to click the second one, which is the radial. But very, very important. I'm holding the shift key right now. And I'm going to draw another line. If you do not hold the shift key, you're just going to mess with the same one. So I'm going to hold the shift key and just drag that out. And to move this, you got to click this middle button right here, this little circle. I'm going to double click that because I want to change the color. And I'm going to make that one like pink, sure. So I have my pink right here. I'm going to go OK. And then kind of like the last one, you can pull it. This right here, you're kind of changing the transition. So how smooth the transition is. You can make this more of an oval. You can make it smaller, bigger, and then you can also go up here to reverse, and it's going to reverse it, kind of like a vignette. So again, this is just play. And then I'm going to reverse it. Oop, and then I always end up doing that, and it like moves around. It's really annoying. So if you don't like this one, go back to the linear. It's your work. It's up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You can put one down here. So I know when I make these tutorials, I try to make them fast, but it's like I'm having a good time messing with it, so it's hard for me to like make a decision and when to stop. So I'm just going to kind of do that right there for now, and I can always go back. So I'm going to go back to my move tool, and I'm going to go back to my blend mode. So I'm going to go down here. That kind of looks cool. And then lighten, lighter color. So that linear dodge looks pretty good. The color dodge is just working with that little spot. So I kind of like that one. And then I'm going to just turn it down a little. And I'm going to go back. So this is highlighted. I'm going to go back just so I can remember. Middle is how you move it. Kind of think about if I really want it down there. So take your time and try to figure it out. And you can always just go back and change the color if you end up not liking it. Yeah, so I just want it to be really subtle. So this is where I could probably have just done a linear one too. Alright. So I've done a lot of messing around. So this is one way to create that colorful aura kind of gradient over the top. So this is the one, this is like by hand. The other way to do it is you're going to find an image of colors and you're going to layer it over the top. So I'm just going to turn the eyeballs off of this so I can show you the second way. You can combine these methods or you could do one or the other. So I should have some pictures for you to download. So I'm going to go File, Place Embedded, and then I have an assortment of images, and then I'm just going to pick number 1, and you can make it bigger, smaller. I just kind of do that, press enter, and then we're just going to start with our blend mode. So again, you can see these are kind of a lot different than using a gradient itself. So let's mess with it. So I'm going to do that color dodge. It's a little too intense for me. I'm going to turn it down and see if I like it. So it's a little too much. I'm going to go back to my blend mode. What I can also do, so this is the linear dodge. So what I can also do to edit it is I'm going to hit Control L. So that's going to bring up the levels. And then I can darken things. I can mess with how light things are. So I can kind of change a lot about how this looks. I'm going to do OK. And then I'm on the move tool, so I can move this around. If I do Control T and just say OK if anything like that comes up, it's just telling me about the layer. I can kind of move it around again. That actually looks kind of nice. I like that. I can turn down my opacity a little if I don't want it too intense. And then let me just show you, you forgot about layer mask. So let's say I want it like this, but I don't want that black line there, and I don't want to make it bigger. So remember, to make a layer mask, I can hit this little button down here. So I have my white layer mask, and what I'm going to do is just blend this. So I'm going to go to my brush tool. I'm going to make sure the hardness is at 0 because I want it really soft. Opacity, how see-through, I'm going to just put it like 50 right now. And then I'm painting black. And like if I want it to go faster, I can turn that up. And you can mess with that. So remember, that's kind of like another way. If you want to get rid of that edge. Oops, to make it black. And I go back to the move, I can move it around. So you can play with the layer by making a layer mask. I'm going to delete the layer mask. So I'm going to right click delete because I don't want it. I want this to show up. I'm just going to move it over like that. And then you can add another one if you want. So I'm just going to do one more really quick. So File, Place Embedded, and I haven't seen this one yet. Let's do that one. And then I can make it bigger. And I'll show you one more thing. I'm going to hit enter. And layer mask. This one's kind of a lot. Ooh. I'm going to turn the opacity way down. So this is kind of a little bit too much for me, but I just want to show you that you can double them up. And one more thing you could do. Well, let's say you like it, but you kind of want to adjust the color a little bit. So remember, you can do Control L to do the levels, like this. So I can mess with how dark it is. I can also do Control U and mess with the colors themselves. So I can just change the colors to whatever I want. And then I can also mess with the saturation. Like that, and the lightness. So that's another option. And you can see down here, I can double click that and I can go back and re-edit that because it's a smart filter. Alright, so those are two different ways to do it. You can also combine them, which that's a little too much, obviously. But you can combine them. You can do one overlay and then you can do one gradient. I personally like to do the gradients. So I'm going to delete these two layers because I don't want them. So I'm going to hold Shift. I click both of them. I can drag them to the trash can and they're gone, or I could have right clicked and deleted. So now we have one more thing to do. I'm going to make a new layer and I'm going to go Image, Apply Image. So apply image, I always can't find it for some reason. There it is. And what this does, you're just going to hit OK, is it makes a layer that is all of these things that we just did put together in one layer. So it's kind of like it made a flattened image and made a copy of it right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Filter and we're going to make it into a Smart Filter. And then last, we're going to go Filter. We're going to go Camera Raw Filter. And it brings up Camera Raw, which is just like Lightroom. This is like the precursor to Lightroom. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Control Plus. I'm going to mess with the grain. I'm going to add a little bit of grain. So I don't know if you can tell. I think that if you're looking at his face, so it's a little softer. I'm going to make it a little grittier. And then I'm going to do Control minus to zoom out. I'm going to add a vignette. So if you go this way, it's white, but I'm going to go this way and make it a little bit dark. I mean, you can also mess with any of the other things that you want. That's up to you. So, then, alright, I think that's good enough for now. I'm going to go OK. Okay, last, saving. So if it's like the end of class and you're not done, you want to still continue editing, you're going to go File, Save As. So you save it as a Photoshop document. All these layers will be saved. You can open up in Photoshop and start off where you left off. And then make sure you save it to your cloud. So you're just going to hit Save. If you are done, like this is your final, you're going to right click and flatten. So now it's one image. And then you're going to go File, Export As. I always like to leave this on high. Export. Save it in your cloud, wherever you're saving your work. And that's it. So good job. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with this technique. Good job.